Really quickly before we get started, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to you guys. It's just been so encouraging to see everybody saying things on Instagram, so many nice things, so much encouragement, and I'm so grateful for all of you that have said things to me or subscribed or followed me on Instagram, whatever it may be. Truly, thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. It's just been so encouraging, and I'm so excited to keep going. And a lot of that was just the feedback that I got from a lot of my friends. Um, so yeah, I just really quickly before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Um, and yeah, let's keep this thing rolling. So I currently am still in need of a logo. I'm trying to figure something out. I'm not artistic at all, so I can't draw anything. I also am not very good at graphic design either. So if somebody would like to come up with something and give it a shot, you can just go to the YouTube channel. Probably click on a video. You can see the email there, or I think I have the email in the bio as well. If you would like to send an email about it, or just DM me on here. Um, yeah, if you want to give it a shot, or you have somebody that would be willing to give it a shot, um, I'm listening to all suggestions really about a logo. So yeah, if you want to try to come up with something, feel free to reach out to me. It'd be awesome. I'd love to see what you guys can come up with. So the first order of business is to discuss the email. I mentioned in the last episode, you can go to the email in the description. Well, you can't go to it, but you can like copy and paste it and send an email. Um, I want that to be a mainstay in the channel, like the one of the primary focuses. I want it to take up a good amount of time in each episode, so that way we can keep this theme of community that I've been hashing so much and envisioning. So yeah, you can ask whatever questions you want about whatever you want, whether it's sports or whether it's Jesus, like anything that you want to talk about, just send it over. I check it before every episode, so you guys won't. I mean, obviously, once we get a little bigger, it would be hard to, if we do get bigger, you know. So it might be hard to, but for now, that's not not really an issue. So if you have questions, we're probably going to get to them all, and so yeah, be sure to send in your questions. Obviously, I have the Instagram down there as well. I can't. I don't think I can put a link to that because I have to like verify my identity and stuff with YouTube to like put a link in for some reason, and I just don't feel like doing that yet, and like waiting a day or two for that. Just not something I'm really interested in yet. So that'll be up in the future. But for now, you can just like kind of type it in from what you see in the description. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way so anybody who ends up clicking off will not miss that, and they can feel free to ask questions if that's something that you want to do. So yeah. So I mentioned in the first episode that my baptism birthday was April 8th. So on this past Monday. Um, yeah, I was kind of throughout the week just reflecting on that and kind of everything that's been going on in the last year since that happened, and even like a little bit before that. It feels like it's been forever, and it also feels like it was like yesterday at the same time. There's been so much growth that's happened, um, even in just this year alone, in the 4 months that this year has been. I've grown so much. That's one of the things I prayed about to start the year. It was just growth, because last year was kind of like my like, what do you want to call it, my rookie year, if that's what you want to call it. Um, and I was learning and I was growing, obviously, because it's easy to it's pretty easy to grow when you don't really know a lot. Um, but now that we're here in these past 4 months, it's been so much growth. It's not without its struggle, of course. There's things, everyone's always going to struggle with things. Um, but like to the point where you know a couple of days ago was a year, and here I am talking to the internet about my faith and everything. It's just something that you could have told me when I was like in high school, and I would have thought, I don't know if I would have thought you were crazy, but I just wouldn't have expected to be doing any of this. Um, it's kind of surreal, I guess, because like high school, I never, it's never that I didn't believe. I definitely believed, I just didn't follow, you know. Like I like one of the examples that I used to I used to literally, this is what I used to think, like, forgiveness for sin was. Every time that I would like say a bad word, I would close my eyes and be like, God, please take away my sin, every single time. And I did that for a lot of my childhood, thinking that was like that was how it worked. And so that's where I was, like I believed and it was there. I just never really put it together or fully saw it, what it meant to be a Christian. I just kind of was like, yeah, I believe in God and Jesus, and I didn't really know the full significance of what Jesus did. No, I'm talking high school, so this is a couple years, like the beginning of high school, I guess you should say. So it's been a couple years since that happened. Um, but now here I am starting a podcast on the internet about my faith, and um, it's crazy. It's been, I mean, just the people I've met are, I mean, they're the reason that I've even decided to make this happen in the first place. Is just the people that I've met over that course of time. It's just it's been so fun and so very difficult at the same time. It's definitely not easy, and especially when you first, like when I first got baptized, for some reason the first couple weeks, like I was like, wow, this is awesome, and nothing's happening to me. I'm fine. Like I'm not being attacked, and then you quickly realize that it's not all sunshine and rainbows after that. You still struggle with things, and you're still learning how to do things. Um, but yeah, it's been, obviously the greatest decision I've ever made in my life to get baptized, and yeah, I'm just, man, just kind of taking a quick time to reflect. And if anybody's seen this that had any part in that, um, yeah, just kind of giving a shout out to you, I guess, because I wouldn't be who I am without any of those people. So I hope that at least in this and everything I do, but at least in this and talking about it, I'm doing right by everyone that's influenced me to be the Christian that I am to this day. So yeah, sorry to sorry to get a little soppy to start off, but yeah, just wanted to reflect a little bit. Pretty much my whole system for how this podcast is going to work for now is anytime I think about anything throughout the week that I would like to talk about on here, I just go to my phone notes and write it down. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone notes to see like what I was, talking about, and looking back down at it to make sure that I'm staying on track with what's going on. Um, but I just read Acts, like I probably got done with it halfway through March, maybe. It might have been a little sooner than that, but yeah, that's kind of what I might have said in the last episode. But that's kind of what I envision for this podcast is like looking at the Acts Church and seeing the way that they were with each other, and how they grow and still manage to take care of one another. Like with the widows, I think was my big example. Those guys were like just bringing widows into the church and giving them a place to stay, because it was like so incredibly impossible to be a widow back then. Because if you lost your husband, you can't buy a house, you can't work, like you have nothing, you have no income, and you also can't afford to live anywhere, you can't buy property. So it was really difficult for them. So they're just bringing in widows, and they're selling their possessions to buy land for other people. It's just such an incredible way. Like when Jesus first dies and Acts is talking about like how they proceeded with the church that he started. It's, I mean, look at where we are now. It's we'd be getting a letter from Paul, to say the least. But I just want this to be a place where we can kind of bring that back. And I don't know how that looks for now. I have my ideas in my head, but we don't need to go on a whole rant about how that's going to look and all that. We just kind of have to live it out and try our best but I at least want this to be a platform where we can make something like that happen. And yeah, I'm just like I keep saying, and I'll say it 100 times. I'm just so excited for that opportunity, and that 91 views when I saw that. Because for some reason, when I was on my like YouTube channel that I used to watch everything that I watch throughout the day, like I don't use this channel to like subscribe to anybody or watch anything. It's just a post. I like I couldn't see the views for some reason. It kept saying no views every time I searched it up. And then I went on to my computer and logged into like my actual account and saw that 91 views, and I almost cried. Like I was genuinely blown away by that because I was thinking like 15, maybe a couple comments, and like to see 91 views just blew my mind, and it really gives me hope that this is going to be something. So yeah, hopefully we can make it look like the Acts Church, and make it a place that Jesus would be proud of, and make this something that he would use as an example for how his people are supposed to be. And I'm not perfect, but I want to try to do my best to live that way. And I really hope that we can do something like that with this. Just to piggyback off of my whole Acts Church thing, um, reading through that, like I just think it is so crazy. First of all, I always like the way I described it to the people I live with. I'm like, you know, as I was reading it, I'm like, Paul just kind of obviously he's slaughtering Christians at first, and then he gets blinded and all that, and then all of a sudden you start reading, and he's like, oh, I was here for like a year or two. Then I went here. Then I went to jail. Then I stopped the prison guard from committing suicide. Left the jail. Went to another church over here. Sailed over. Like this guy just like does not stop, and it's so crazy. It's especially crazy to think about because we have the internet now, so you can reach somebody across the continent like it's in the blink of an eye. And he was doing something like similar to that, and he was taking like a year or so, and obviously he's going to these places and he's going to like their church, and he's teaching them Jesus, because some of these churches obviously weren't like really following the Christian gospel and things like that. So he's going to these places, teaching them that, and then also building them up, and then he's leaving when he thinks they're fine, and it's just insane. And like I want to be like that. I know that. That's crazy. He's just like, oh, I went to prison, stopped the guy from committing suicide. Then I went and built up another church. And you're like, what? Like I ate Taco Bell today. Like that's what? Like how does what do you mean? So yeah, Paul's crazy, and also the main thing, my whole kind of piggyback off this was, uh, something just I don't know why it sticks out to me so much. Like multiple times Peter and I can't remember who else is with him, but like I know Peter's there. They get arrested for like preaching the gospel and telling everybody about Jesus, and they go to these councils, and the counselors are like trying to figure out what to do with them, and they pretty much tell these councilmen like, well, we're not going to shut up. They're trying to get them to shut up. They're like, well, that's great and all, but just be quiet. Stop telling people about this. And they're like, no. And I, well, what do you mean no? They're like, no, we're not going to stop. Like, well, what if we put them to death? And they're like, well, death doesn't really scare us. We know where we're going. And they're like, what are we supposed to do? Like, they don't care if they die, and they're not going to shut up. So they clearly come to the conclusion that they're like, you know what, just let them go. Just let them go. They're not going to stop, so just let them go. Like, what? I don't know. Something about that, like, just baffles me. And it's like inspiring, being that secure and confident in your faith where you're like, yeah, go ahead and kill me. Like, you want to kill me? That's fine. Whatever. And like to the point where they don't want to they don't want to kill you because you're that faithful in, or you're that secure in your faith, I should say. It's just insane to the point where they're like, all right, well, go free because we can't do anything. and you're like, I don't know, it just baffled me reading that. Um, but Acts is such a good book. That's probably the best book that I've read so far. I'm on Romans 6 right now because obviously, like I said, I was baptized a year ago, so I definitely have not read the whole Bible and whatnot. So I pretty much just I use one day to read one chapter of a book. So, well, like I read like um, John, and what John has like 28 chapters, or maybe it was Matthew. Matthew has 28 chapters. One of the gospels that has 28 chapters. I was reading and I read it like one day at a time. So it takes a while, but it's just the best way because I don't want to read too much and have all this information to process. I'd rather like read one thing at a time and take it slow and make sure I'm understanding everything. And clearly from the way I described Acts, I don't have everything memorized. It's gonna take a while for me to even be able to do that. But yeah, I'm on like Romans 6 right now, which Romans is also a really good book. It's the one that I started. That was the first book that I ever got introduced when I started my relationship with Christ. Last year, or well, I guess it was started in 2022. Um, so yeah, it's the first book that I had read, and I'm reading through it again because I didn't really know what I was reading when I started it, but now I kind of have more knowledge, so I'm able to read it better. Um, and that's also really good. It'll probably end up being my favorite as well, or my second favorite, or first. I don't know. We'll see. you know, but what Romans 6 was the last one I read, so I'm only on 6. I'm pretty sure there's a lot, so still got a while for that. But if I'm mentioning, or if I'm bringing up a discussion regarding the Bible and it's not from an email, then it's probably going to be from Romans just because of that. So it's kind of going to go in waves. It's never going to be like we're going to jump here and then all of a sudden we're going to jump here and here, because I don't read like that. Which obviously, if I think of something that I read in the past, I would be bringing it up again. But yeah, if there's something that strikes me like 2 episodes in a row where I'm like, oh, I need to share this, it would be like from the same book. So don't expect to get thrown around too much into the Gospels. Well, not the Gospels, but like the whole Bible. We're not going to go from uh, Revelations to Genesis or anything crazy because I don't read it like that. So yeah, I don't know. There's my little rant. There's another rant for you if that's what you're looking for. You got one. And see, look, I'm doing a good job. We're keeping the balance. I got to balance it better because we didn't talk. We really didn't talk anything about uh, about Christianity the last episode. So I kind of have to throw it in here now because I would be doing a disservice to everything that this channel is if I don't if I don't talk about it. Um, but a lot of that's probably going to come from you guys, and not just you guys. And I may have some things in the works. We're gonna try some things. I got to get a new mic before we can start doing that because right now I only have one microphone and it's obviously not the best. But like I think I said it in the last episode, once my tax return comes in, I'm gonna do some upgrades. And so I'm gonna get a new camera, and then hopefully I'll have a new mic as well. So gonna try to start getting some people on, whether it's interview, whether it's like over Discord. Some people might be over Discord. I don't know. We'll see. But I kind of just spoiled it for you. It's kind of what's in the works. I'm gonna try to get some other people on the podcast. I almost wanted to get somebody on today, but that kind of fell through. So yeah, just make sure you stay tuned for that because I'm really excited about that. I would like to get a lot of my friends on here to talk. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So I once again have a lot of things. I never really realized. I mean, well, this is week 2 of me kind of just running to my notes the second I have something to think about, and I never really realized how much sports I think about throughout the week and like random things that I see on social media that I'm like, oh, that's I would love to talk about that. Until I started writing it down, I never really realized how much that was. And obviously, right now it's basketball season, so it's gonna be a lot of basketball, and I know that's probably gonna be like one of the less popular sports to discuss as of right now with the audience base that is just my friends and stuff. I know a lot of them are more into the NFL and stuff, which it looks like we don't really have. And also, it's going to be a lot of like my team focused, like not my team as in like 2K, but like my teams, plural, my teams, just because I don't have any, like, I don't have emails coming through or anything. So there's no other teams that I really want to talk about. And it would, but with the NBA at least, um, I have a lot of favorite players. I'm not necessarily like a full on just watching one team kind of thing because I there's a lot of players that I really like to watch. So it wouldn't be a lot of that for the NBA, but or the NFL because I watch a lot of NFL football too. But what like college, any college sport really would be mainly focused on my teams and whatnot because it's just kind of what I pay attention to. So considering there's a lot to talk about, and I already blabbed on for like a minute and a half about how many things I have to talk about, we're gonna get into it with the first thing being, I don't know, I gotta pick. See, like I said, there's a lot on here. I know which one I want to go to first. Anthony Edwards. Let's go with Anthony Edwards. Sorry for the weird pause. Um, that guy's been unreal this year. He just dropped 51 points, I think, 2 days ago. Career high. Um, he's just he turned into like a full on like bona fide superstar this year. I mean, on his own signature shoe, like, and he's just like the joke is that he's like Michael Jordan's son, and all jokes aside, play style wise, he might be he's a little more ferocious than Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was more like a graceful finisher, but Anthony Edwards just kind of he's like taller Russell Westbrook. I think is the way I would describe his inside game. He just kind of attacks like Russell Westbrook, and he also does have the dunk of the year. I don't care. He is the no, not the dunk of the year. He is the greatest dunk that I've ever seen in the NBA. His dunk over John Collins is the craziest dunk I've ever seen. Nothing beats it. Nothing probably will ever beat it. Um, yeah, I don't know what his stats look like, but he's got to be in the running for most improved. And I think it's what we're gonna do next week. I think we're gonna do NBA awards next week because we're kind of getting to the end of the season, and I want to get it in before the playoffs start, so that way we can focus on the playoffs. And maybe we do like a playoff predictions deal or something. It's just hard. Like those were the things that I'd want to get my friends on for, but nobody really knows anything about the NBA. So this is kind of like my guilty pleasure in the section that you listen to if you just want to hear me blab about the NBA because I'm starting to be like outnumbered in the amount of people that don't like it to do like to me liking the NBA because I don't have a lot of friends that like to talk about it anymore. So yeah, expect the awards next week. But yeah, Anthony Edwards is just he's probably one of my favorite players in the league at this point. It's something about like he's not small. I'm not saying he's short. He's not small, but the smaller, like just quick guards. Like De'Aaron Fox has been one of my favorite players in the league for years since before he was drafted. He was one of my favorite players to watch. Donovan Mitchell's fun to watch. I feel like there was another guy that I'm missing out on that I really like to watch as well. I mean, Darius Garland's always fun, of course, and I'm being a little biased there with the Cavs, but man, I can't think of like Dennis Smith Jr. I thought was going to be a stud, and that's probably just because he fit the mold of the players that I like to watch in the NBA. That's probably only why. It's probably more of like a bias thing as to why I thought he was going to be a star. Unfortunately, that did not work out. uh, unless you count getting name dropped by J. Cole, that could be that could count for something. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something about guards like that. Well, he's not a guard. Is he a guard? Is he a shooting guard? Am I crazy? I thought of him more as a power forward, but I guess he could be considered a shooting guard. I don't know. I don't know where he's been playing a lot. I haven't watched a lot of Timberwolves games. I just see so many highlights. But yeah, Anthony Edwards is a stud. So we're kind of just gonna, get through my list here, and I'm gonna call it a day. Um, but next thing, Robbie Villa is in the transfer portal. Unfortunately, I figure I'd be remiss not to talk about this considering he was on the shirt that I wore in the first episode. Um, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is gone from Indiana State. I don't know where he's gonna go. I don't really know anything about it. I feel like it was just worth mentioning that he was gone. Um, and I hadn't watched. I just seen highlights, except for a little bit of the NIT championship. Um, but that's just a fun player to watch. Next up, we have the Ohio State quarterback drama. This one is really interesting. So I don't know if I said it or if you figured it out. I am from Ohio, so I'm a big Ohio State fan. There, I mean, well, you can probably see it. Finger, work finger. Wow, I'm really bad at this. I'll get better, I promise. There it is. My blanket. I got Ohio State on there. I don't know if you can even tell, but yeah, pretty big Ohio State fan. Quarterback situation is odd. Rumors from the camp are all the receivers like Julian saying the best, but he's got the weaker arm out of all three in the running. Because let's be honest, like Lincoln Keenholz is not getting the job. I've also heard that there's schools trying to recruit him illegally because you can't you can't do that right now. But yeah, he'll probably be gone. He's not gonna get a spot. And at this point, if so, Julian Saint's the most accurate thrower, but he has a weaker arm. At that point, it's the freshman that you just brought in. Obviously, he's a lot younger than Will Howard and Devin Brown. Well, I don't know about Devin Brown. I know he's got to be a lot older than Will Howard, or younger than Will Howard. But I don't know about Devin Brown. Um, if all the receivers like him the best, and with the receiver talent that's coming into Ohio State right now, with everybody going crazy about Jeremiah Smith, but at this point, I would think that you would be smart enough to realize like if your receiver room likes him more than all the other ones, talent wise, I'm not talking about like character wise, but talent wise, all the receivers say he's the most accurate and they like him the best. Just just throw him out there and see what happens. Will Howard goes maybe. Devin Brown probably doesn't go because he came out saying like transference for wusses or whatever he said. So fine, whatever. You got the freshman, and you also have Aaron Nolan, who you can redshirt or do whatever you need to. Well, I guess you wouldn't redshirt him if you want him to be a backup. It just depends on what happens to the other quarterbacks. But I don't know. We need something. This roster is just way too good to be. I mean, the amount of defensive guys that we've gotten back, and the receivers that we have, just I don't know. I guess it is a big risk to put a freshman out there with that kind of team. You want the experience. So I would imagine Will Howard's going to get the nod. Unfortunately, it means Aaron Nolan's probably going to get pushed to the background if Devin Brown doesn't transfer, and that sucks because I was really excited for Aaron Nolan, and if he ends up transferring, that wouldn't be great. But if we win a national championship with Julian Sand, then who cares? But yeah, it's kind of weird to be in this situation because last year you go from Kyle McCord being like, oh, I don't even know if we're gonna finish in the top five to like this is championship or bust type season is such a dramatic turn and one that I don't like because I never really realized how many people don't like Ohio State until I got more into social media. I think was when I realized that everybody that's not in Ohio hates Ohio State. I think it's because of the OH chants. I always feel like I hear that. Nobody likes our OH chants, you know? So, whatever reason it may be, I just, especially losing to Michigan, I had to like turn off my phone for like the week if Michigan beats us. Well, when Michigan beats us last, 2 years? And that's always so crazy to me. Like, to think we've lost, two, three, 3 years in a row? 2 or 3 years in a row? When, if we would have played them in 2020, when they ducked out, Jim Harbaugh would have lost his job if we beat them, and we would have never been in this situation. But here we are, And I'm gonna save it. We don't have to get controversial yet. We won't do it. I won't talk about the 2020 year or the scandal. We'll leave it alone for now. I'm not gonna touch it. I promise. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just would like to think that you put the freshman in, but Ryan Day's also fighting for his job, not for the future. Because this year, if we lose to Michigan again, Ryan Day is done. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. I might not hate that. Um, I've been saying it since last year when Ryan Day was on the chopping block, at least with the fans. Brian Hartline, I would not be mad about being the head coach. That might just be me. That might be a hot take. I don't know, but I'd be fine with Brian Hartline. Um, I don't know. I could be crazy, like I said. I could be losing my mind as far as that goes, but I mean, he's just a master recruiter. The amount of receivers that we have in to go from Marvin Harrison, well, first of all, not Marvin Harrison Jr. Let me start with the Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson receiver room, and then, Marvin Harrison was in that receiver room, and then you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fleming, and JSN was in that receiver room as well with Olave and Wilson, but just to go from all of these guys and then have Jeremiah Smith, who people are saying, like, no exaggeration, is generational. Brian Hartline's got a. We're lucky that he loves Ohio State so much because that man would be signed in a heartbeat if he was willing to go somewhere else, and like he could easily get a head coaching job. I feel like. So yeah, I guess it's different in that aspect because Ryan Day's kind of coaching for his job, not just for like, oh, we have this freshman who could be pretty good. Let's see what he does, and hopefully he's even better next year. He's like, no, we need to win right now, especially with the money that we spent and the expectations for this season. Maybe I just single handedly changed my mind. Yeah, we don't. It's probably gonna be Will Howard. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, but it is a very big dilemma because I don't think they even know. I've heard that like Devin Brown and Will Howard are competing for the job, and neither one is like above the other. They're both just playing well. Neither of them are playing like amazing. They're both just doing good. So I think they're just having trouble picking which one they want to just be good for us. And you don't really need him to be. You don't need whoever the starter is to be crazy, right? You just need somebody to get them the ball. You need somebody to get the players the ball. You don't need like Terrell Pryor and Braxton Miller and even JT Barrett, Dwayne Haskins. Those guys, JT Barrett probably was more of a like share the love kind of player. Like he was getting it to everybody and letting them do the work. So I guess not JT Barrett, but like Terrell Pryor and Braxton Miller are going out to make plays. Like they're going to be the difference makers. McCord obviously was not a difference maker, and he was not a very good share the sugar kind of guy, if you will. So, they just need a guy to come in and throw the ball decent and just get the ball to the guys. And which is weird because that's not how Ohio State normally is. Usually you get a guy that's going to elevate the receivers. Now the receivers are supposed to elevate the quarterback. And that's something that it's not normal for Ohio State. And they also, in my opinion, we just need to get back to a running quarterback because it's just a whole dynamic to the offense that we're missing. And we've been missing for, I don't know. We had CJ Stroud for 3 years, 2 years, something like that. And then you go to McCord. And now, Will Howard might be a scrambler. I don't really know too much about him. I know Devin Brown wasn't doing a lot of running. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a dynamic to the offense that they've been missing for a long time. And it would be nice to get that back, which I don't know. It doesn't really seem like that's going to happen with any of these guys. So who knows? Maybe it's Aaron Nolan. Maybe that's the guy that needs to change it. We just better hope he doesn't transfer before he gets a shot. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Ohio State this year. So to circle back into the NBA, I just saw this today, I think, and I was I kind of wanted to touch on it because nobody's talking about the Mavs really. Obviously, everyone's talking about Luka. Nobody's talking about the Mavs. The Mavs are kind of killing it right now. You know, Kyrie and Luka are working, and I think the reason that they're working so well is solely because of the trade deadline. Um, like Daniel Gafford is huge for them. Obviously, he almost broke. I don't think he did break the record. He almost broke Kareem's. I think it's Kareem or Wilt's record of like most consecutive field goals without a miss. And he's, I mean, even in Washington, he was like a defensive anchor, you know, and that's something that they desperately needed. And he's been incredible for them, and even PJ Washington has also been good. They just have two big bodies and two big rebounders, especially with Dwight Powell, he's Dwight Powell. You know, it's good for them to finally get some rebounders in. So they arguably, in my opinion, had the best trade deadline. They really got some upgrades, and it's right now it looks like the Mavs are going to be playing the Clippers again in the playoffs 3 times. I don't think it's in a row, but 3 times now that Luka's going to be taking on the Clippers. And man, I'm excited. That'll be a fun series to watch. Both teams, and I mean, even the Clippers are playing well right now. Nobody's really talking about it. That's going to be a fun series, and I'm excited to see what Luka's going to do this time. I remember watching him hit like a game winner from the hash a couple years ago against the Clippers in the playoffs. So it'll be fun to watch. I mean, Luka's always fun to watch, no matter what's going on. So, and I mean, getting to see Kyrie, because I feel like Kyrie's entered like a purgatory where nobody really talks about him, but we all know how good he is. We just don't talk about it anymore. Why that is, I don't really know, but it should be talked about more because, I mean, arguably the greatest ball handler of all time. And it's just good to see him in a good situation again and happy and playing well and dunking now for some reason. Kyrie's just out there throwing down lobs and stuff. I don't know where that came from, but it's fun. It's fun to see. Like out of all the people that could be doing that, it's Kyrie somehow. Especially with Derek Jones, playing small forward. And you have Kyrie going up for lobs. I say that, and he's only caught like 2, but even then, it's still crazy. Like 2 lobs from Kyrie is unreal. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just wanted to shed some light on the Mavs. I think that's where I'm at because nobody's talking about the job they did at the trade deadline. Everyone was talking about Daniel Gafford for a minute because of his record that he almost broke, and the shot that he lost it on. I don't know. I don't know how he fumbled it that bad. He just had to come down with the rebound instead of trying to get a tip in, and that cost him his record. So it is what it is. But I think he's arguably like one of the better pickups, especially depending on how far they get into the playoffs and how he plays. Daniel Gafford could have been like the biggest piece that anybody moved in the NBA this year, which is crazy to think about because it was a guy that was like rotting away on the Wizards. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what the Mavs do in the playoffs, and with the new added defense, I think there's a real possibility that they could make a little bit of a run. Um, I don't think they have enough to win it all, and I don't think that's because of them. Like you put that team in the East, they could make a very good case for like making it to Eastern Conference Finals. It's just the West. The West is just so unbelievably stacked that like I like the Warriors are. Last time I looked, they were like 42-35, and they're the 10th seed. That's insane. I think it's the first through 7 seed all could finish with 50 wins, and it was almost all 8 seeds at one point. But I don't think whoever's the 8 seed, I don't think they can get 50 wins anymore. But 1 through 7 could still end up with 50 wins. That's unreal. And I don't even feel like the East is that bad. I don't know how you balance that. I've heard rumors that they might move. What did I hear? That they might move the Timberwolves to the Eastern Conference, or somebody was going to move to the Eastern Conference. we'll see. I feel like that'll happen when we get closer to like expansion time, which is like I think there are new TV deals in a year or two. So there's going to be expansion. I'm sure there's probably going to be some movement in that front, like as far as moving conferences and stuff. I remember when people used to want to do like 1 through 16 seed. I don't. I think especially this year that would have been a mistake because you would have had like all Western teams. So I think they were fine to do that. But yeah, I don't know. You move the Mavs to the Eastern Conference, and they're. I mean, I don't know where they would be right now, but I think they would make a case for making it to, the Eastern Conference Finals just because of I don't know, just because of how not stacked the East is. I guess the East is just very top heavy. Like once you get like through the fifth seed, it kind of ducks down because like you have the Mavs or the Magic at 5 right now, and it's not that the Magic are bad. They definitely this could get clipped and I could be made fun of on the internet forever, but the Magic cannot make it to the finals this year. It's just not happening. But in a couple years, who knows? Give that team like 3 years. We might be talking about them as recurring like I can see them as a 3 seed in like 3 years, especially Paolo. Paolo's like Carmelo Anthony without an ego, and he's fun to watch. I can't believe nobody talks about Paolo. But yeah, I'm gonna pump the brakes on this one. Lastly, I think I'm gonna end here. I just want to give you a little NFL news. Packers in Brazil, week 1 against the Eagles. That's awesome. I heard it's a Friday game, like after work. That's gonna be so fun. First game of the year, and I get to come home from work on a Friday and watch. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. That is like perfect. That's perfect. You know, it's gonna suck on Sunday though. It's gonna be awesome on Friday, and it's gonna suck on Sunday because I'm gonna like want to watch the Packers on Sunday, and they're not gonna be on. Um, but man, that team, I'm so excited to watch that team. I think they're just. I'm curious as to how Jeff Halfley and his defense are gonna look. I think. I think that team is suited for his defense more than they were for Joe Barry's because Joe Barry was like let the offense. Joe Barry was just used to Aaron Rodgers, where they're like, all right, play it safe, no big plays. If they get down the field and score, whatever, we have Aaron Rodgers. Let's go score. Which Jordan Love's starting to be to the point where you can be like, okay, we can just stop him here and we'll be fine and we'll figure it out. Um, like if we get a stop, we get a stop. If we don't, whatever. Like you probably can do that a little bit with Jordan Love, but you're not there yet, and you also don't want to be there. You want like I'm sure, and it just seems like who Jeff Halfley is to be like, nah, like we're not just gonna let you do all like we're gonna go get we give up a big play every once in a while. Oh well, we're gonna like press and like we're gonna stack the box. We're gonna press. We're gonna be aggressive, and we're gonna try to make plays for the offense rather than being like, all right, let's just do enough. Let's just be good enough. We'll stop them for 3 here, and then our team's gonna get a touchdown, and then they come back and they score a touchdown, and then we score another one. Then it's fine because we're winning. Like, what? No. I think Jeff Halfley just has too much pride to do that, and I don't think Joe Barry had enough pride to be like, my defense is going to go out there and like we're going to be the reason we win games, which they did in the playoffs. But it happens every year. So whatever. Joe Barry's in the past. I'm not worried about it. I just want to forget about him. He might be my second least favorite Packer of all time because I'll never forgive Kevin King for what he did. And if you're a Packers fan, you know who Kevin King is. If you don't, and we're talking about NFL on this channel, and we start talking about players that I don't like as players, all right, I want to preface that. Just as players, Kevin King will constantly come up as my least favorite player in NFL history. But Joe Barry is my second least favorite Packer of all time. We'll go and fine. All right, I'll give you third. Okay, I'll give you the third one. Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is my third least favorite Packer of all time. I remember my dad saying this to me when I was like younger. saying that Mike McCarthy was the worst coach to ever win a Super Bowl. And ever since I heard that, I will defend that take for the rest of my life. He was terrible. And, well, it's not like can't you can't know that I'm right anymore because he's the Cowboys coach. So obviously you know I'm telling the truth because look at what happened to the Cowboys. So anyway, where was I going with that? I just see we're just ranting here. We just talk. We just have fun here, you know? Just listen to me run my mouth. That's why you guys gotta send emails because this cannot go on. I will get way too angry about everything. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this season and kicking week one off with a trip to Brazil on a Friday game. Sign me up, seriously. And with that, we're bringing episode two to a close. I don't know how long this one is. It might be a little shorter than the last one. Might be a little longer. I don't know. I wasn't really keeping track. There's a lot more clips in this one. We had a lot more things that we talked about in this one than the last one. But we got through them. We did pretty good. But yeah, if you watched this far, thank you so much for listening to me blab on. And like I've been saying, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. I don't expect it to be, it's probably never going to be perfect, but I don't expect it to be good for a while. So I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to do things. I'm still learning how to talk to the camera. Because as it stands right now, even me filming, I'm literally just staring at myself, and I have like my screen as close to the camera as it can be, so it looks like I'm looking at the camera. It probably still doesn't, but hey, oh well. Um, but yeah, if you watch this far, thanks for listening to me rant about stuff and get angry a little bit. Got a little angry today. Um, yeah, this is awesome. I keep saying it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what God does with this and where He can take this and what kind of platform that we can put Jesus on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. God bless. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.